Welcome back to today's video. Today is Tuesday, July 25th, 2023, and today we are going to be talking about the Republican primary presidential debates. The one that is set to occur on August 23rd. In just under a month from today, we will have the first set of candidates attend on the first ever RNC-sponsored debate between all of the candidates in potentially 1 and 2 rounds. Now, similar to the 2016 Republican primary, these primary debates are in many ways important, but also not super important. They do dictate the way that I think many people make a name for themselves. You can see post-debate bumps for certain candidates that surge and fall in polling depending on their debate performance. But generally speaking, I wouldn't say that this is the ultimate declaration of how a candidate is going to do on the campaign trail. You can have a phenomenal debate performance, but ultimately end up still in 7th, 8th place nationwide. You can also have an abysmal one and still remain in the top 3, depending on how much support that you have. So why do we watch these? Why are these so important? Well, generally speaking, the debates do provide us a bit of insight as to how these candidates are planning to attack each other, and also still very much declare who's willing to engage with who and how. For instance, in the 2016 Democratic primary, I know we're going to a different side here, but when Hillary Clinton refused to acknowledge a comment made by one of her opponents on the debate stage about her email, simply saying that if questioned if she wanted to respond, said no. I believe it was Lincoln Chafee who asked the question. She says no. And everybody laughs, and everybody recognized that that was the point where she really only saw Bernie Sanders as a primary threat. She was only responding to the attacks from him and not really boiling down into some of the more less prominent candidates. This time around, what we will probably see is that everybody will be punching upwards towards President Donald Trump, but that calls into question, does Donald Trump actually attend this debate, and should he attend this debate given where he is right now? Well, as you might know from the past couple of weeks, Donald Trump has actively threatened to skip the first GOP presidential debate. For one, this would be bad for TV ratings because I'm sure many Americans are eager to see Donald Trump on TV on a debate stage. But number two, it really just takes the full engagement out of the primary process altogether. A lot of these candidates are here because they want somebody besides Donald Trump to be the nominee, and when he prevents them the opportunity of going out against them publicly or on the debate stage, it makes it very difficult for that message to land and that message to really resonate, I think, with voters that might be watching these debates, but also might see ads that will come as a result of these debates as well. Now, this decision from Donald Trump isn't the first time that he has pulled out of a presidential debate. In 2016, he pulled out of a presidential debate in January, right before the Iowa caucus. He ultimately lost the Iowa caucus, but he had attended roughly 7 to 8 debates prior to. But his power became a lot more unified and strong when he decided to pull out of a debate in March of 2016. Upon his pulling out of the debate, Governor John Kasich of the state of Ohio also decided that he would be pulling out as well. And then Senator Ted Cruz said, I'm not going to debate the air, so I'm going to pull out as well. And ultimately, the debate was canceled. It was a full-fledged debate with a moderator, a space, a forum, invitees, whatever it might be. And it was all taken down by one man. And that was, at the time, businessman Donald Trump. Now, his influence at the time also, and I'm sorry for repeating at the time a lot as a phrase, but back then his influence was very strong because he was the frontrunner. But now today, he actually stands at a better point than where he was in 2016. I'm not here to say that should he decide to pull out of the debate that they would cancel it entirely, but there would be some repercussions against the debate viewership in terms of debate attendance. I definitely think he wouldn't be the only one that would pull out should he decide to do so, as many others will likely follow suit because Donald Trump is the person that they want to get on the debate stage with. Now, President Trump has made a lot of good points about why he should not debate. I think that there is a lot of reasons for why he should consider debating, but a lot more as to why he shouldn't altogether. The debate hasn't even qualified all 13 people that are running nationwide. Only the top few who have been able to meet the donor and polling threshold have been given the opportunity to qualify for the August 23rd debate. Most notably absent is former Vice President Mike Pence, who again, as a former vice president, should be a shoo-in for something like this. Such an easy threshold to pass, 1% in consistent national polling or more, and 40,000 unique donors across the United States. Again, a nation with a population of over 300 million. You think about that and say, okay, that's probably a reasonable expectation, and Mike Pence hasn't met it, as have many other candidates been unable to meet this threshold, which means the debate, if it was held today, would only consist of 6 candidates nationwide. 6 candidates in a field of over 10. And it's interesting, again, I was a little bit pushing away from the point here about why, the valid points that Donald Trump was making about why he doesn't want to enter in this race. And I say that objectively speaking, he doesn't need to be at this debate. He doesn't have any more voters to win over, and he doesn't really win much more by being at that debate. The only thing here is that maybe, in terms of his own ego, in terms of his own expectation for himself, that he might show up, but electorally, it doesn't make sense. And he acknowledges that. He says, why would I want to debate as opposed to doing something else that night? Why would I want to debate when you have people at 0 and 1% asking me hostile questions? That's fair. Donald Trump in many ways was going to be up there as a punching bag. He wasn't somebody that Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott were going to go up there and rally behind him. They were going to go up there and try to peel away from his base, the way that many other candidates did in 2016 when they went after Donald Trump in the Republican primary debates. You saw that a lot of them used him as a punching bag, but I do think not only them, but each other. And that's the way that these, debates were ultimately decided, was that the candidates who wanted to rally against certain candidates also found themselves tearing each other down, which is why there was never this unified front against Donald Trump, which is why there still is not this unified front against Donald Trump in 2024. He, yes, is this all-encompassing major enemy for everybody, but he also, to some, is this silent ally, someone that they want to align themselves in the event that he does win the nomination, which looks increasingly more likely as the days go on. So I look at the current status of the 2024 Republican primary, and I say, if I was on Team Trump, I would tell him not to show up. And it's not that this is lost on him. He is making the decision soon. He has said he's undecided on how he's going to go, but leaning towards not attending. And that's probably what's going to happen. While I do think there are some negative repercussions of not entering into a debate, not attending the first one of the primary season, I don't know if it actually shifts the electorate that much. Considering everything that Donald Trump has on his plate, everything that he has attached to him in terms of a scandal, whether that be the indictments, whether that be the insurrection, whether that be the election denialism, whatever it might be, right? He still is able to maintain, with all of that and more, 53% of the Republican electorate. And do you really think they are going to say, not attending a debate is where I cross the line? It's not the indictments, it's the debate. It's not the insurrection, it's the debate. No, he does not lose by not attending this debate. And no, I don't think him withdrawing from the Iowa debate in 2016 was the reason why he lost the Iowa caucus. These debates have an impact, but more so for candidates that aren't Donald Trump, more so for candidates that are not the frontrunner. This isn't just a Republican thing either. If you remember back in 2020, when Joe Biden was on the debate stage with all of the Democrats and he was the frontrunner, they were punching up. They were trying to tear down his support and translate it to support for themselves. And for a while, it worked. Right? The attacks that Bernie Sanders laid against Biden, Elizabeth Warren laid against Biden, Kamala Harris laid against Biden, their numbers started to increase. Following their debates, they did see an uptick in support nationwide amongst their party. People do watch these debates. You're talking 10 million plus viewers, sometimes 20 million plus viewers. But as I have been trying to reiterate time and time again, Donald Trump's base is like no other. It is not comparable to any other modern politician in terms of the allegiance of his voters, which means also just the trust that they have in him, the loyalty they have for him. His debate performance will not sway voters against him because those groups of people are already locked in. It's a question now of, does he go to win by more? I don't know. I don't know what's going to come of these debates, but I do think, generally speaking, Donald Trump does not have an electoral reason to attend the debates. So as we look to 2024, it's very possible that Donald Trump decides for the future of all debates because of this power trip that he is on. And in many ways, rightfully so. It doesn't have to be a negative thing to be on a power trip. He has the power in this situation. He has the influence. He has the majority of the party on his side. And when he backs out, I'm sure others will as well. But I still think there's going to be a very good chance, I still think there's going to be a very good chance that for the remainder of the primary season, he refuses to attend even just one. If things aren't broken now, don't fix it. And that is a mentality that Donald Trump is probably going to live by through this primary season. He has maintained his lead since the moment he entered into the race. He's at a higher point than where he was prior to entering the race, which is standard American politics, but ask Ron DeSantis how that ended up for him. there is no reason for him to be as involved in these debates as he was in 2016 because his numbers were a lot worse then. Even though he was leading, it was at 30%. And even by the final day of the primary, the final time that Kasich and Cruz were included in polls, Donald Trump was at 46.5% with 3 candidates in the race. Now with 12, he's at an even higher point. It is just, I think, really a testament to the strength and loyalty that his base has for him, and why that tells me it's not going to have some type of pushback that maybe another candidate might. If Ron DeSantis, for instance, was skipping the debate, I can guarantee you Donald Trump would have used that to attack him. Would have easily used that and turned it around on him, and I do think Ron DeSantis would have lost support. Because for every other politician that mattered, for David Perdue that mattered, when you did not show up to the debate, when you refuse to debate against your opponents, it displays a sign of weakness. But David Perdue was in a swing state, right? Those races were close and competitive. Is a 34-point expected margin close and competitive? Absolutely not. I do want to see who else decides to pull out of the race as well. A lot of these candidates have been actively trying so hard to end up on this debate stage, and even in ways that are unorthodox. For instance, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum offered $20 gift cards for anyone who donated $1. Sort of like a quid pro quo situation. He essentially took the money that he had from his own personal ventures or his own personal fortune and said, if you give me $1, I will return 20 to you. Just because the RNC has this very strict rule about donor threshold, 40,000 unique donors from across the country, 200 at least from every single state. So what they did and what Doug Burgum did was very smart. He decided, you give me $1, I'll give you 20, and now I'll qualify for the debate. A lot of these candidates are really going to extremes to qualify for the debate because that's how important they think that it is. But in reality, it probably isn't that important that you're shelling out, hundreds of thousands of dollars in return to get just 40,000 unique donations across the country. I think that's just something to keep in mind as well. I also do believe that some of these candidates would not be on this debate stage, or possibly on the debate stage, because it obviously hasn't happened yet, without these quid pro quo situations. There's a reason why Doug Burgum was able to get on it and Mike Pence wasn't, because Burgum has a lot more money and is willing to spend it. Mike Pence, on the other hand, is trying to run this campaign the way that DeSantis has, the way that Trump has, and gotten entirely, or at least mostly, on his own in terms of donations, in terms of support. That might be a problem for some of these candidates. But for those who know how to bend the rules, those who know how to get around the system, this is going to be a beneficial system in play for them. So as I said, 6 candidates on this debate stage thus far. You can see in this article here with discussion about how they're going to qualify. They have up until 48 hours before the debate to qualify. So there's still a good possibility that we start to see more and more people enter into the race. Where we are right now, again, as a recap, Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, and Chris Christie, and Doug Burgum have all qualified for the debate. So that's 7 now, not even 6. Or supposedly, Doug Burgum has qualified. We have yet to see the actual numbers that prove that to be true, but he probably wouldn't go out there and lie to the American public about qualifying for the debate because we will know come August 23rd. So 6 people down, 7 people down, hypothetically, if we assume Doug Burgum is telling the truth, which I do, so I'm going to say 7 people, but potentially -1. Donald Trump is going to be an interesting figure to watch because he could be the main person to see through the 2024 election season for the Republican primary, because he will probably be calling all of the shots, regardless of the fact that he's not RNC chair, he's not in House leadership, he's not in Senate leadership. In fact, he's still just a former president. He's not in any elected office at this point. I do believe that he will be amongst the most influential figures across the Republican Party, even in his own race. What I mean by that is he will be dictating the way that things go. If he doesn't want to sign a pledge, he'll probably still end up on the ballot anyway. If he doesn't want to go ahead forward with the debate might still happen, but the ratings will tank, and he probably won't have any type of negative impact. The voters that he has right now will not punish him for any decision that he makes pertaining to debates, fundraising, whatever it might be. Because every time he's indicted, his fundraising numbers go up. Every time the U.S. government comes down with this case against him, his numbers go up. I mean, it is just this very fascinating relationship between Donald Trump and his supporters that shows their undying loyalty to him as a candidate. And I'm saying this now, and I think it will be forever understood, that nothing is going to pull away Donald Trump's support, especially not a no-show at a debate. These voters have already decided that they are going to vote for him despite everything that the mainstream media has covered, despite a lot about the conversation that has been, being had around him, electability-wise, whatever it might be, age-wise. These are things that are happening within the RNC. They are all bypassing that and saying that they want Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States of America. And it's very possible that he eases into that primary victory nomination convention without attending a singular Republican primary presidential debate. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2024 Republican primary presidential videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.